Hey, hey, how's it going?
Hey man, not too bad. How are you?
Good, good. Let me adjust my volume here. I can barely hear you. I don't know if it's me. Can you guys hear Kieran okay? All right, first town hall with Kieran of 2024. Good to have you here. We have a bunch of questions that got submitted by the community through Twitter and Discord and various other places. Kieran will end up picking three of the best questions, and you'll win a Team Liquid disc. So that should be exciting for some of you. A couple of you win, and then yeah, at the end if we have time left, you guys can put up your hands, and we can we can have a few more questions if time permits. And yes, you had to
How
hang out
many
with me.
unopened how many unopened Team Liquid discs are out there?
I don't even know. I don't have any unopened. I'll tell you that much.
Quite a few. You're slowly dwindling them down though.
I'll try. I'll try. I'll try. All right, let's jump right into it. So this first question is from the Wanderer. How will the Leviathan differ from Ascendant Arena, and what's the timeline for its release?
So Leviathan will likely be uh, more so what you're seeing now in Ascendant, and we're working on a new game mode with the game design team has been working on a new game mode, which I'm not going to reveal too much about that, but it it makes it a lot more strategic. It gives you a lot more agency to change up your team mid game. And when Aaron first pitched us this, I think everyone was super excited about it. It certainly takes away the idea that if you go into a battle and someone is playing a fairly strong meta and it even counters yours a little bit, the game's already over and there's nothing you can do about it, right? And so uh, the guys are testing that. The good thing is we have a base now for what Ascendant well, for what Arena is. And so doing these things pretty quickly on the fly, even before open beta, even though it's only a few months away, is is possible now. And so I'm thinking nothing is set in stone yet, but I'm thinking the new mode for Ascendant will be the one that I'm talking about here, and then the Leviathan mode will be the more of like what you're experiencing now, and both modes will be available once we go live.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to testing that too. I'm not sure exactly what he said the timeline is, but I think it's pretty soon that we'll be testing it internally, which is exciting.
Yeah,
So definitely looking forward to that.
needs to happen.
Okay. This one's from Fear the Deer. Are there plans for new arena modes like a rewind feature to replay moves?
So there's going to be a cinematic mode where you can basically not rewind, where you can basically replay your battle if you're looking to learn where did I go wrong, and or potentially educate others on if you're streaming or if you're I don't know, building a educational business that's like a third party affiliate to us. All of these things are going to be possible once the cinematic mode exists. And the really good thing there is the quality that you can replay the battles in makes it very streamable. You can zoom in, you can do all sorts of things where you can if you're good at editing, you can make a battle look extremely exciting.
Like on the level of Grant and Dimitri's hype video?
That type of stuff, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like with cameras you can fly around and such.
if you're as good as them, then yeah, you can recreate that type of experience. If you're uh, if you're good at editing, then if you're a seasoned uh, YouTuber or whatever, then you'll still be able to recreate something that looks better than any other auto battler out there, without a doubt.
Yeah. I always wanted to zoom in on TFT when I first started playing it, or like, actually be able to see closer. But yeah, looking forward to that for sure. Okay, let's keep moving here. Another one from the Wander. Is there a plan to balance the leveling up process and possibly add a level up animation with each alluvial?
I wasn't really sure. So, like, first of all, I don't think it's unbalanced. The the leveling up as it is now. There's a lot of factors that go into gaining experience for as you go through the overworld, and the same applies to arena. Right? There's many different things that go into how you actually level up your alluvials. So I don't think it's unbalanced to start off with. In terms of an animation when one of your alluvials levels up, yeah, I definitely think we can do that in the future.
I don't think I don't think the VFX team leaves anything untouched.
Yeah.
Everything always comes out pretty darn cool. All right. Giant Family Dog. Will there be a major tournament in the first year of open beta?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got the Team Liquid tournament which is coming up. We haven't locked that in yet because obviously the open beta launch is a bit of a moving target at the moment. But the idea is to have a decent amount of testing in open beta with Arena. Obviously, I just spoke about having a pretty a pretty new game mode, and so there's going to be a lot of teething issues. I'm assuming with that, and yes, we're trying to get that out prior to open beta so people will be able to test it, but we still want to be in a really good place before we start doing super large scale tournaments. I can't remember the exact number. I think it was what, like 140K or something,
I
that
think
prize pool?
146 something. Yeah, I think right
146.
there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Um. Okay.
And then just to elaborate on that a little bit further, the idea is for us to really lean into the ILV that we have stored away. As a lot of people know, there's 10% of our entire token is put aside for things like rewards and tournaments. And so, without a doubt, the idea is to build the esports team scene. Sorry, utilizing that ILV that is put aside, so we can do crazy big tournaments when things get better in the market, and it won't really have much of an effect on our ILV reserves.
And is that Team Liquid tournament meant to be like hosted by us in collaboration with Team Liquid still, or is that
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, it will be. So the idea is that a lot of their we haven't worked out like what talent will be shoutcasting and whatever. Like if that's going to be someone that is contracted to TL, or if we're going to have someone. We're actually in the process of interviewing a bunch of people for that kind of that role. But certainly, the Team Liquid teams will be joining and having their pros join in the on the tournament. Yeah.
I know one guy that would be a good shoutcaster. He's known as the face of Illuvium, so you might want to look into him.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, let's see here. Damien Coulette. Could you elaborate on the link between Illuvium Zero and the open world?
So there's a little bit of lore attached to that. So I kind of like steering clear from these questions, but I can tell you that Illuvium Zero is still on the planet, this mysterious planet that you crash land onto, but it sits outside of the domes. So that's pretty much all I can tell you.
Without Aaron coming down on you?
No, well, it's not even that, right? Like it's getting to a point where we're so close to open beta. We're so close to the rangers who are going to be playing the game to actually go through and figure out what is going on here. Like what happened to this planet? How did these people get there? What are the alluvials? Like, how does Illuvium Zero fit into that? How will additional games fit into that? How will Leviathans fit into the storyline? And so we've actually done a really good job of keeping it all under wraps. And so 2 months out or 3 months out, like we don't even uh, we don't even show this type of stuff to all of the team, right? Like as you would know, you can't jump in there and start checking out all of these little lore stories that we have for the different games. So I'm certainly not going to do it, a few months out.
Yeah. I think it was unlocked for a little bit when I first joined, and then it got put on lockdown at some point. So.
Oh, so you do know?
I know some of it. Yeah. I mean, I read the whole story that Aaron told me to. So. But it might have changed since then. Like I said, it's on lockdown. So. Okay. So let's shift in a little bit here. Toriel asks, can multiple wallets be linked to a single Toriel account for asset management? I think she's referring to probably Passport, I imagine, or
Yeah, so it's actually we are going to build a solution for a secondary wallet, but it's only going to be read only for the time being. And so what that will mean, and limited in the sense that you'll only you'll only be able to access that on for your zero land plots and for alluvials in arena. It will be expanded to overworld at some point, but this is one of the elements which is it has been quite delayed, and so we're still not even passport is still not even in a place uh where we could go live tomorrow, right? Like there are a couple of things that they need to add to it from the IMX side, and so this conversation was had a few weeks ago. That's it pretty much. So we will look to build out the wallet solution further, but for now, that's the functionality. You'll be able to attach one additional wallet, and it will be read only for those two things.
okay. Oh, and I just want to remind everyone this is recorded. I'll post it shortly after, and then if you have questions, you can write them in the chat, but they're likely going to scroll by, so you can raise your hand at the end. And if we have time, we'll bring somebody up, and you guys can ask Kieran directly. But yeah, let's keep moving. G Hamster. In light of Pow World's success and the creature capture trend, what are Illuvium strategies to capitalize on this movement?
When obviously I've been asked this question like 500 times in the last
Week.
couple of weeks. Yeah, since it's been launched. And the first thing that I want to say is anyone who thinks that Power World is a net negative for Illuvium is an idiot, right? Like they do not know what they're talking about. And I'll explain why. So when we first looked at building Illuvium, from my perspective, what I wanted was Pokemon with NFTs. Right now, the secret there was NFTs, right? Having actual ownership in a creature capture game. It's basically like, I thought it would evoke those feelings of having all of the cards. Now, having all of the cards was very different and this is the Pokemon cards I'm talking about. Having all of the Pokemon cards, the physical ones, felt more powerful than having all of the characters inside, call it Pokemon Red on Game Boy when it first came out. And allowing someone to have digital ownership inside of a game is recreating that physical card feeling that you got. And that has been the narrative and will continue to be the narrative forever. Now, the thing that there was one unknown, right? Like, go out and create a Pokemon and add NFTs to it. Will anyone give a shit? Like, does anyone even give a shit about creature capture as it stands now, or are people just buying into new Pokemon games just because of the nostalgia, right? Like, and I really thought to myself, like, over the last 3 years, I was like, fuck, I go out and I buy all of the new Pokemon games, but why? Right? Like, I the last few games that I've played haven't really pushed the envelope at all. There's been nothing that's really made me go like, oh my God, like this one's so much better, this one's so much better. And it made me a little bit worried. I was like, fuck, what if we are in a situation where people are just buying Pokemon because it's Pokemon? And if that was the case, then maybe other uh, Monster Hunter games were not going to be as popular, right? And certainly not as popular as Pokemon. Now, when Power World came out, I was like, okay, it's confirmed the that this genre that it's our baseline of everything in Illuvium, right? You have to go into the overworld in order to go and play all of these other experiences. Like that, this is our core product, has now been validated because there's another game out there which doesn't have anywhere near as good graphics, but at their core, you go out into an overworld and you capture creatures. So for me, when I saw the success of Power World, I was like, this is fucking amazing, right? Like, what is the chance that the most viral game in the last like 5 years, take out, I don't know, maybe like GTA or something, but the most viral game, certainly of 2024 and 2023, is a creature capture game. Like, that's amazing for us. Now, the one thing that they don't have is the blockchain integrated. And so, like I thought back 3-4 years ago, what if you had Pokemon with NFTs? What if you had Power World with NFTs? Now, the difference there is I love playing Power World. I've played it for like 5 or 6 hours now, and it's awesome. There's a lot of things that we can learn from Power World and a lot of things that we're actually already building, right? And have been for the last 12 months. And but it doesn't give me the same feeling when I capture the characters. And that's because they don't have as much lore. There's no like biographies. The graphics aren't anywhere near where they need to be for you to feel that psychological connection of like, I want you, right? Like, and you're my favorite thing ever, and I'm gonna show my friends. I just don't get that with Power World, but I definitely get it with us. And when that really, really becomes apparent is when you see the alluvials roaming around the overworld. You played that yesterday. You sent me that video. How much different is it when you're going up to an alluvial, you're hunting it down, and then you go into the capture stage. Like, what did that do for you yourself?
Yeah, I mean, just seeing them in the overworld is is so much cooler. I mean, like finally the characters are like, yeah. I guess I didn't realize how big of a change it was from blue floating orbs. You know, like it's
Think
definitely
about it,
huge.
right?
Yeah.
But so this was the crazy thing for me, right? Like, you don't actually, there's no in-game experience in Illuvium that anyone has seen our characters outside of an auto battler. Now, the thing with an auto battler is it starts massively zoomed out. You're looking at the entire arena when you first go in. And yes, you can zoom in and you can start you can go right up to it, and there's thousands of videos online where people are like looking at the pixel perfect room of the different alluvials like Dash and whatever, and they look insane, but it's like a different world once you've gone into that auto battle. Like, it's a different thing. And when you compared to seeing them in the overworld, because when you're in the overworld, this is your new realm, right? Like, you're a ranger, you crash land on there. That's you're immersed in this new world, and that's you for that 2 hours, 3 hours that you're playing that game. That's you. Now, if you see an alluvial inside of that world, just minding its own business, grazing on the planet, or whatever, eating some grass, doing whatever it is, that changes everything, right? Like, and the first time I saw it, I was like, now we've done it. Like, this actually, like, that creates that dearly needed connection with the character, where I was like, oh my God, I need to fucking have that thing. I need to capture it immediately. Changes everything. And it almost didn't even matter how I capture it. If you go back to the original Pokemon, you're talking about like the shittiest battle mechanics of all time. It's like tail whip, then they do something, growl, like it's boring as hell. That's when you go into the auto battler and it's like, wow, this is actually cool. It's new age, it's strategic, it's fun, but you need that first interaction to be in the world where your ranger exists, right? Like, that creates that connection that you need, and we have that. So as much as I love playing Power World, and I think they can potentially get to that, right? Like, there's a lot of work that goes into that, and we've front loaded so much of that in terms of our characters and our graphics and stuff like that. But I just don't get it with Power World yet. I'll say we have that, and I think once you see alluvial hunting, which we're going to release, I don't know, in the next couple of weeks or so, that's when you sit there and you're like, okay, now this is real, right? So I don't know if I did I answer your question there.
I think you did. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. You basically did. Yeah, like for me, just seeing him in the overworld, and then like the battle boards in the overworld, like nothing against the PvP battle board, like I like it and I like the arena battle board, but like going from being in the overworld, seeing the alluvials in the overworld, and then fighting them on a battle board in the overworld, like the overworld battle boards just do so much more for me than, you know, like being in the environment that you saw it in. So yeah, it's definitely going to be exciting once everyone
Yeah,
else
so
gets to see it.
that video that everyone went crazy where the alluvials were roaming around, that I went back to the first date that Alex sent that to me, and it was like 3 months ago. And I remember being like, dude, like, we have to share this like immediately. And he was like, no, we can't. And I'm like, no, I don't understand. Like, there's this idea right now that the overworld is boring, and it is, right? Like, you don't see the creatures that are roaming around there. It is, right? Like, that feedback has been given to us for 18 months now. the minute I saw them roaming around, and that was prior to even realize, knowing that, I knew we were doing hunting, but thinking that it even existed, I didn't even care about that. I was like, the minute I see them in the same world that I exist in, it changes fucking everything. And I think you get a little taste of that when you see a video, but when you actually see that you're tracking them, you're hunting them down, then if you finally get to that stage where you can get into the encounter and the auto battler, then it's like it changes the entire experience to be so much better.
This question kind of goes right into it's right here related, so we might as well stick with this. It's Wander asking about what marketing insights have you gained from their Pal World success?
So I would say gameplay innovation. That's one thing. So we need to have we need to understand that sort of new age, like cool uh, mechanics. Like we can play around with different features, even if they're not like crazy AAA. I think people would rather the variety and at least go into a stage where we're testing them, like multiplayer, where you've got multiple people roaming around the overworld. You've got situations where multiple people trying to capture an alluvial. Like there's things that we're absolutely not going to do, like craft, like building inside of the overworld and stuff like that. At least not for now. But we need to be open to testing this sort of stuff. And in 2024, that's something that we really want to empower the uh, the the game design team and the arena team. And the overworld team, and even all teams need to be in a position where they're like, you know what, let's test out this crazy new feature, because Powell has shown that going up and smacking the shit out of a sheep is fun to people. Now, obviously, we've got a lot of lore in the background, so we don't want to go too crazy, but smacking a character with a club or a pickaxe or whatever is this new style of like, and it really, I feel like it's attractive to like younger generations, right? Like where they're looking for that immediate sort of dopamine hit or whatever, and they get it out of playing Power World. And so I think a learning from that is we need to be ready to implement different gameplay innovation, even if it seems a little bit crazy, as long as it can fit in the constraints of the lore that we built. Another thing, uh, more organic, I guess, to marketing would be their influencer strategy. So they went out and promoted early access beta keys to a whole bunch of streamers and influencers, and they came up with a pretty good slogan, which was Pokemon but with guns, right? Which it sounds stupid, but again, it's to these younger generations that sounds really cool, or it's at least something that you would go, I want to try this out. Now we have something which I think is even more powerful, which is capturing creatures and actually owning them. Right now, that's obviously not the slogan, but that concept is huge, and I stand by it. The minute that you can play a monster hunter, a creature capture, whatever you want to call it, and actually own the characters, no one's going to go back. They're fucking not. They're going to get in there and go, you know what? This is what Pokemon needs to do. And in 10 years, Pokemon will integrate this without a doubt. And so having like the unique concept that we do and marketing that to the influencers and the streamers out there to say, like, you can actually capture something, go onto the marketplace and sell it. And that's for real world money. How crazy is that concept, right? Then you get someone who goes out and let's say they encounter a ram fire and they go to capture it. You've got two videos there. There's the guy who misses and is like, oh my God, I just, that was worth life-changing money or whatever it is. And then you've got the other guy who actually captures it. Think about how viral that shit would go, right? Like you get someone who captures something that's worth stupid amounts of money, and that video gets distributed across millions and millions and millions of people. How many of those people go, what the fuck? What? He caught something. What is this? It looks like Pokemon, but it's like new age. The graphics are way better, but like these characters can be sold. They're NFT. Okay, well, shit. I'm gonna try that out, right? Like you can see how that plays out with new people coming into this to encountering what we're building, and that is why I always go back to like our core thing here is having ownership. The other stuff we can change, we can build out, we can make new features, new expansions. But the core thing, the core concept that we built is ownership inside of games like this. And I think that, I'm still very, very confident that over the next 5-10 years, that narrative is going to emerge. We're going to be so well placed when that happens that that's definitely one thing that we need to lean into. And then an emotional connection. People absolutely love playing the game, and their emotional connection is different to ours, but they've still created it. Like this idea that you can walk up and beat a sheep, down is it's stupid, but that is cool to a lot of people, and so it creates this emotional connection with the game. People love it. They go and tell their friends, hey, I just beat the shit out of a sheep. And then they're like, well, I want to beat the shit out of a sheep. And so creating that sort of a connection over time has really, really has helped them. And I think it certainly helps with the narrative.
I honestly have trouble even playing any games nowadays, knowing that I don't have ownership. It just really irks me just spending money on games anymore.
Yeah.
Do we have to say Power World anymore today? If there's any more questions about Power World? Okay. Okay, so what's the expected completion order of the four remaining regions?
Tiger Boreal is next, and they're pretty close with Tiger. The Halcyon Sea is blocked out, but there's a lot of optimization that needs to go into that. And then I believe it's Shard Bluff and then Crystal Shores, but that might be the other way around. I haven't asked for an update from Ragu in a little while.
I know Taiga's looking very awesome. Roger will only let me share so much, but it's
watch yourself. You got to keep leaks to a minimum.
I know. Is Roger here? I don't think he's here. He wouldn't know yet.
But he'll find out. Leaks something within 14 seconds. It gets posted on Twitter.
Yep. Okay, so Rokita, are there rewards for the lands that reach the end game in Zero, and what would an end game entail?
So we don't have any rewards for reaching an end state at this stage, but it's certainly something that we could implement pretty quickly. What I would say is your reward is maximizing your fuel output. So you'll make more money.
Okay, and on that topic of end games, Mosine asked, what does end game look like for a free-to-play plot, and how will it integrate with other Illuvium games?
So we've got plans for other cool expansions. Sorry, of IZ, but and they're pretty damn cool, right? Like they'll start blending into other games, and but all of this needs to be voted on by the council. I don't want to go too. There's a reason I'm not like jumping to different AMA and like hundreds of different communities saying how much cool shit we're going to be building and how large the Illuvium universe is going to be once we're at its end state. I think at this point it's really important to stay laser focused and narrow in on, we know what we're building, the community knows what we're building, and we need to launch that, right? Once we get to the stage of open beta and we've got IZ in a good state, we've got Arena and Overworld in a good state, that's when we'll open it up, to the community and to have the council ratify these decisions through an IIP for what is the next game going to be, or perhaps what is the next expansion if we don't want to go into other games. But I think, again, people want to see Illuvium built now. At least finish the white paper, which is 3 years old now, and then after that we can start hyping up new games and expansions and other stuff like that.
No, I know there's no shortage of ideas for games.
No, there isn't.
Okay, Ovu asks, how does the team view Runway and Grant's impact salary ratio?
As in Grant's impact
Leaving. Yeah.
As in the salary saving that we get there?
I'm assuming he means both, like him leaving and
Right. Okay. So our runway is solid. We've certainly got enough to go into open beta, and then pretty much a year after open beta, we'll still have runway. So even if we didn't generate any revenues, which is obviously not going to happen, we'll still be totally fine. Having said that, we are, I would say, potentially looking at doing an additional capital raise to really shore up our runway, to look at it and go, you know what, now we have 18 months runway after open beta. So if anything needed to happen, if we needed to pivot, if we needed to build an entirely new game, we could do that pretty quickly and still have enough runway without having any additional revenue come in from open beta. So we're toying with the idea of doing that, but again, nothing set in stone there. But I think it might be a decent idea. I've always said, if we go out and do something like that, and let's say we sell down our tokens in the treasury to 10%, right? So we have 1 million tokens in there. The way that the tokenomics are set up, the treasury is constantly going to be buying back ILV, and we're only going to be selling down the amount that we need for operations, right? And marketing and stuff like that. So I am never worried about, we're not going to have enough in the treasury in order to run things. I think it's going to be the opposite. I think we're going to be generating so much revenue, we're going to be buying back so much ILV that the community is going to demand that we sell down the treasury to a point, like after we've built it back up, they're going to demand that we sell it down and give that revenue to stakers. Because if we don't, it's going to get to a point where the treasury is so bloated that it's earning more than its intention. And so I'm not so worried about us selling additional tokens, especially now when we're talking about ensuring our future, right? Like, it's one thing to do that when the game's live and we've got revenues. That would be like, why are you doing that? You're already making enough revenue. It doesn't really make sense. But doing it now still, I think would definitely make sense. But we'll see how we go. In terms of Grant, so I mean, it's negligible, his salary impact of leaving. Like, he's one person out of 130, so it certainly helps, but it's nothing crazy. In terms of his impact, he was he over the last like 12 months has been handing the reins over to other team members, and so he's had less to do over time, and so I don't think it's going to have much of an impact, at least not in the short term. Where it could have a bit of an impact, and I still think we'll be totally fine, but there obviously was he's a co-founder, right? And so when it comes to things like vision and additional games that we're thinking of building, or even like DeFi elements and whatever, he always had his opinion, and I think that comes with some value there. So I don't know. But my overarching feeling is that we'll be fine.
Good deal. So we got Leo Mons. It's another tournament question. What format would be ideal for Illuvium competitive tournaments?
So we haven't decided that yet. We're obviously looking at a whole bunch of different stuff. I don't think there's going to be one format. That would be the first thing. I think we're definitely gonna try out a whole bunch of stuff like the Swiss format, single elimination, double elimination, like round robins, like even having some leagues. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff that we want to test out before I could realistically sit here and say that's that's our format and that's all we're going to do. I think it's way too early for that, and I don't think we should only have one format.
Definitely. I need the round robin ones because otherwise I just lose to the same people. Although it doesn't really help me in TFTs. How about regarding the Tier 5 auction? Will the auction be in time for the Team Liquid tournament?
Not sure. I spoke to the council about that a couple of weeks ago, and it's certainly something that we want to do before open beta, but it's not critical, right? Like Illuvium Zero can go live without it. It does have an effect on tournaments, but yeah, nothing is scheduled at the moment.
All right. Perfy, we will get to you at the end.
I know I've sort of waffled a little bit in the middle of this, but I do have a really important meeting at 9. I can probably push that back by like 5 minutes, but that gives us 20 minutes.
Okay. Let's see here. Well, we're almost through these, really. How will you manage the value or quantity of the hundreds of thousands of blueprints over time? This is by Sleck.
So they're also on a bonding curve. So as more and more blueprints are found, they get harder and harder to find, and so same principle as alluvials, right? Like it's not they're on this supply curve, so or bonding curve rather. So and then also attached to sets as well. So after the set ends, you won't be able to get that blueprint anymore. So that's how we manage that.
Hey, Gozon asks, how many megacities do you estimate in Illuvium, and do you own a megacity?
I don't know. Maybe 150, maybe 200, something like that. I haven't done the analysis, but I would say somewhere around there, maybe slightly more. And I think I own 3, but I've given away so many lands that I don't even know anymore. If we get to open beta and I've got 50 lands left, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I remember you gave one of your megacity plots by accident before you.
It was you, not me.
No, definitely wasn't me. I think it was before you had Jeremy taking care of it for you. So it was probably you.
Probably.
Okay, so Jacob Wojak, considering land prices in Illuvium, what's the expected ROI time frame for a single land from produced fuel?
I mean, no one can tell you that. If they say they can, they can't. I assure you. But based on my estimates, I think it came out to about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. But again, like there's so much variation there. It really depends how much revenue we're generating. But I think the ideal when we first started was when we concepted Illuvium Zero was to have the payback period 12 months. But yeah, obviously this is going to fluctuate.
Here, will there be, this is from Risk Victory, will there be a fuel airdrop for landholders as a thank you for their support?
I can't answer that at this time.
Okie dokie. To be continued. Next up is Mosine. Post public beta, how will you balance existing game support, DAO input, and new features and expansions to development?
So I think we have a pretty good system now with the V3 council structure. A little bit shaky there, getting to this point, but I really think it's a good mix of community opinion, but also allowing the development team to build things out as we laid out in the white paper. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with where it's at the moment, and obviously things can change as we get into a different state once we're live. But yeah, I think there's definitely room for people to share their opinions and to write proposals. They get heard. If they get traction, the council discusses it. We've got a huge amount of advisors that we can draw into conversations and have their feedback and input. So I think we're in a really good place to continue building out games with this current system.
Council's been through quite the changes since I've been here.
Yeah.
Okay, we only got a couple more, so maybe we'll have time to get some from the crowd. What is your favorite unreleased alluvial?
There's not many that are unreleased at the moment, well, left, but I would say the Mammoth, so Mammut, the stage 3 Mammoth.
Yeah, he's pretty sick.
That was actually the first alluvial that Roger ever drew. And I remembered sending it to him and I was heading out and I was like, hey man, can you just, we tested a bunch of other artists at that stage, and they would often get back to us in like 3 days and then say, oh, it only took me, because we had 200 to draw and concept and like do all of the art for. We really needed to find artists that could do it quickly. And we were getting these artists that would say, like, get back to us in 3 days or 4 days or a week, and then say, oh, but I only worked on it for like 3 hours. And they were really good. But I said to Roger, I was like, look, we've been having these issues where, people are saying it's taking this long, but we can't actually validate that. So it'd be really good if you could, like, as soon as you're finished this, get back to Aaron, because I'm heading out. And he's like, I'll just jump on a call with him. And literally on the call, he drew this mammoth, and it was pretty insane. So yeah, that's definitely my favorite.
Did you know Roger before the project?
No, but we got along straight away. He's really, really, really good guy.
Yeah. Caveman asks, when can we expect the cinematic trailer to drop? If we're still pushing for Q1, Q2 release, shouldn't the trailer be released?
So it'll be released a couple of weeks prior to open beta launch. Obviously, when you get audiences mind share, you don't want to lose that. And so if we go, like, let's say we released it now and then a couple of months later we go live with open beta, I think we're going to lose that hype, especially in crypto, right? Like, if it was mainstream, maybe you could push that like a month before, but in crypto, I almost think we should launch it like fucking 4 days before. But no, we're probably going to launch it a couple of weeks before.
I've seen shots of that too. That looks pretty amazing. Be awesome.
Yeah, they're doing like it's actually one of the only things we've ever done which is going to be ready like well before it's needed, which is pretty cool.
Got Sneaky Poke and Perfy. One question each, guys. Let's try and make.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, thanks for taking my question. So I realize my question might be a tiny bit tone deaf. I know we're really close to open beta. Appreciate all the work you guys are doing. But what are we doing to appeal to a wider audience for more casual players? I mean, I'm a tiny bit worried that it seems to me that the only use case for Illuvials that are caught right now is like an ultra competitive auto battler. And I would say that for a casual player, it might be a little intimidating. So just curious on your thoughts.
So a lot of people ask this question, and I think we're forgetting that the overworld, while it's the thing that grants you access to other gaming experiences, it's also a game itself, right? Like the whole idea of uncovering what has happened on this mysterious planet which you crash land onto is a game, right? And capturing 200 plus creatures is a game, and crafting all of the different weapons and getting skins and all of these different things, and progressing your alluvials so you can level them up over time. Like, the overworld is what is meant to appeal to mass market, and then and of course you can do that free to play. Obviously can't get uh, as far as if you were paying, but you can certainly experience everything by going into the free to play version of Overworld, and it's going to be very exciting. There's going to be thousands and thousands of people that are trying to get to that end state where they're like, I've caught them all, I've leveled up my alluvials, and now I'm at a stage where I'm complete. And then, of course, as over time, we're going to try and build out a new game. I would say every 12 months, but yeah, that's. I think a lot of people forget the overworld is a game itself.
Oh, what up, everyone? How's it going? I've got a question that's the complete polar opposite of Pokey. So as content creation is being ramped up, one of the biggest things for content creators is being able to create in-house tournaments. And a lot of major tournament systems revolve around creating multiple teams. So I'll say, for example, a set of 3 teams. And then when you get matched against your opponent, you ban a team from your opponent, and then you play a best 2 out of 3. When can we expect tournament modes that are a little bit easier to play, or modes similar to this?
So definitely in the future, we're going to look at things like this, but there's nothing on the roadmap as it stands right now.
Gotcha. Is there any roadmap towards how often we can anticipate like new meta shifts or new shakeups to the meta per year, or anything along those lines?
I think once we get to a good state, it'll probably be once a quarter, so like 4 times a year.
Okay, awesome. Great answers. I appreciate it. And I won't let you be late to your next meeting.
Thanks, mate.
Should we take one more? Wrap it up there.
If there's any other questions, just chuck them in the chat, and I'll come back at some stage and either jump in voice chat, or I can just answer them in the chat.
Okay. Well, then, cut it off there. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and asking your questions.
Cool. Thanks, everyone, and thanks for hosting, Rich.
Yep. See you guys.